गुप्ता जी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार नमस्कार नमस्कार। वेलकम 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 जी।
और सर क्या हाल है?
बस ठीक है, बढ़िया।
चलो मैं वीडियो ऑफ रखूंगा, मैं बाहर हूँ कहीं।
हाँ देख लिया, आपको देख लिया है।
अरे सो नहीं सब सर।
नहीं लोकेश जी, आपने तो कहीं बाहर से ना आप?
कलकत्ता था, अभी अभी और अभी दूसरी जगह आया हूँ।
हाँ हाँ, आप बोले थे, आप बोले कि मैं क्या, चलो वेरी गुड वेरी गुड, टाइम निकाल लिया आपने, वेरी गुड।
अरे सर ऑलवेज विद यू।
वेरी गुड वेरी गुड। नहीं नहीं नहीं,
मैं अपना वीडियो ऑफ रख रहा हूँ।
We are starting the webinar. We are starting the webinar.
Yeah.
Good evening to all. I welcome you all on behalf of Faridabad Local Center.
चलो हम घूम कर आते हैं, इनको लगेंगे ना अभी आधा घंटा।
आवाज
To the webinar on World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. We start with lamp lighting. Now I request Chairman Engineer Sandeep Handaji for his welcome note.
Thank you, Engineer Pradeep Malaji. I, on behalf of III Faridabad Local Center, take this honor on myself that I get opportunity to today share the welcome address for three distinguished speakers, the stalwarts of their own profiles. One comes from a very, very rich engineering experience, hardcore into entrepreneurship, and thereupon, number second, a hardcore technocrat with a gamut of technology and its usage, and third, the last but not the least, what the professor, academia in himself. He carries so much of rich experience. So I would like their names. They are a very strong part and pillar of III Faridabad. And today, the speakers in self form a full core group and justify the topic called World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. All these 5 words explain all three of them in their horizon. Today's audience is also a rich audience, and we expect this webinar, this time, to be very fruitful and encouraging for all of us. The first speaker would be, I believe, as the agenda says, Shri Engineer J.P. Malhotra ji. The second would be Shri Engineer Samir Kumar ji. And the third would be Professor Dr. Pradeep Kumar ji. So this is how it goes. It's really my honor to welcome them and the rich audience on this day, and I hand it over back to Engineer Pradeep Malaji.
Thank you, sir. We have today our keynote speaker, Engineer J.P. Malhotra ji. He is our past IEI Faridabad chapter chairman. He is also President Haryana State Productivity Council and also President DLF Industrial Association. Engineer J.P. Malhotra ji is Managing Director of Bhartiya Valve Private Limited and a renowned Rotarian and industrialist of Faridabad. Now I request Engineer J.P. Malhotra ji to present his views on World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. Engineer J.P. Malhotra ji.
Can I share my screen, sir?
Yes, sir.
आगे स्क्रीन नहीं आई
भी नहीं आई.
Just a moment. Last thing.
Yes, now it's visible.
Is okay, sir? Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good early evening and greetings. Respected Chairman, IEI, FLCC, Engineer Sandeep Handaji, Honorary Secretary Kuldeep Gupta ji, galaxy of fellow speakers, Engineer Samir Kumar, Professor Dr. Pradeep Dimri, and our learned moderator, Engineer Pradeep Balaji, my friend from BYST, especially Som Duaji, and he's a senior mentor, and I also learned a lot of things from him. Dear participants, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm grateful to the Chairman and Honorary Secretary FLCC to provide me an opportunity to present some thoughts on the occasion of World Engineering Day. I ventured to present before this August gathering some thoughts on sustainable development through circular economy. Thank you, Chairman sir, for the introduction. I deserve part of it, but since you have given so much honor to all the three speakers, we are greatly indebted for your thoughts and appreciation. Friends, sustainable development. Recently, Prime Minister Modi was speaking at the World Sustainable Development Summit, and he said, emphasized, we have to make it a global movement with three approach: pro, plant, and people. He exhorted the delegates over there to reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, redesign, and remanufacture. It's time now to consider waste as a displaced resource. Of late, waste has become a center of discourse on preventing environment locally and dealing with hazards of climate change globally. We have to look beyond the end of the life cycle of a product. Continuous processing, reduction of the waste generation at different stages, from use of plastic materials, electronic items, agriculture, vehicles, solar, and the list goes on, In my opinion, reuse is an opportunity you can't afford to lose. But India's waste management is a multifaceted problem. We have poor practices leading to wastage of the scarce and limited resources, which again the waste is contributing to environmental degradation at cost of products to the user. I implore upon the engineers to provide simple and affordable technology. And also, I'm happy that the government of India policy support is coming for the waste to wealth phenomena. To appreciate the things, let's have a look at how much waste India generates in key areas. These figures have been taken by me from recent articles published in Times of India. You can see e-waste. They call it as a future shock in tons. 17-18 में क्या पोजीशन थी और 19-20 में क्या पोजीशन है? Though recycling capacity has gone up, but waste generation, outstrips the processing capacity. Plastics, lakhs per ton. 15-16 में 15.9 लाख टन था, 19-20 में 34.7 lakh ton है annual. Less than half of the India's plastic waste is recycled, but waste generation keeps growing. Sewage, less than third of the sewage is treated. There are states like Kerala, Jharkhand, Tripura who treat only 1% of their wastage, and the generation is 72,000 million liters per day. एग्रीकल्चर को पीछे नहीं है. 20 टन्स पर ईयर सिर्फ राइस से इस्तेमाल जो है वो पंजाब में चला जाता है. एंड वी लूज crores of rupees because of poor agriculture practices. Junk food is yet another problem. 50 kg, as per the figures given in the Times of India, 50 kg per capita food की wastage है, contributing to 68.7 million tons annually. 92,000 crores, whopping 92,000 crores, सिर्फ फूड की वेस्टेज है. सारी बातें देख के ग्राउंड वाटर कहता है मैं क्यों पीछे रहूं. ग्राउंड वाटर की फिगर देखिए आप, तो 1947 में 6,042 क्यूबिक मीटर्स पर कैपिटा अवेलेबिलिटी थी. 2021 की फिगर्स हैं 1486, ऑलमोस्ट 20% of that. 31 की प्रोजेक्शन है 1367. There are so many village clusters जहाँ की जो एक्सट्रैक्शन है ग्राउंड वाटर की वो एनुअल जो रिप्लेनिश होता है बिकॉज ऑफ डिफरेंट नेचुरल सोर्सेज अदरवाइज या रिचार्ज से उससे 100% ज्यादा है. इफ दैट इज द सिनेरियो, हाउ कैन वेस्ट जनरेशन, सॉलिड वेस्ट जनरेशन जो है उसकी फिगर्स स्टिल अलार्मिंग है. एंड इंडिया इज द लार्जेस्ट सॉलिड म्युनिसिपल वेस्ट जनरेटर इन द वर्ल्ड. Each Indian generates 45 kg waste per year. हमारी रैंक जो है फिगर्स आपके सामने है, वी रैंक 187 out of 215, that is third largest in the world. इंडिया की बात करें, महाराष्ट्र जो है it tops with 23,000 tons per day. दिल्ली की जो हाईएस्ट पर कैपिटा है वो 400 ग्राम पर डे है. 400 ग्राम पर डे जनरेट होता है. So this waste is creating twin problems for sustainability. One is the climate change, as I said in the beginning. Second is the resource scarcity. We have to look at the economy based on zero waste, circularity, reusing discarded goods as raw materials is bound to solve both the problems. Friends, here I advocate it's time to embrace circular economy for sustainable development of India. In my opinion, circular economy is an industrial system that is restorative or regenerative by intention or by design. It replaces the end of life concept with restoration, shifts toward renewable use of energy, eliminates the use of toxic chemicals which impair reuse and return to the biosphere. It aims at the elimination of waste through superior design of materials, products, systems, and business models. Friends, circular economy is based on 4 principles. First principle is aims at design out of waste. The products are designed and optimized for a cycle of disassembly and reuse. This sets apart from disposal and even recycling, where large amount of embedded energy and labor are put to loss. Circular economy introduces a strict differentiation between consumable and durable components. Consumables are made of biological ingredients, which are non-toxic and even beneficial, can be returned to biosphere either directly or in cascade of consecutive uses. Durables, such as engines, computers, they are sort of raw materials, and they have to be reused otherwise. Number 2, second principle, the energy required to fuel the cycle should be renewable by nature. Again, to decrease the resource dependence and increase system resilience. Third, circular economy replaces the concept of consumer with that of the user. We call for new contract between businesses and their customers based on product performance. In this, what is done is that durable products are leased, rented, or shared wherever possible. If they are sold, there are incentives or agreements to place in place to ensure their return and thereafter reuse of the product. Fourth principle is circular economy has the potential to increase productivity and create jobs while reducing carbon emissions, preserving valuable raw materials. It provides for a way of creating value and sustainability. There are challenges, and the challenge lies in building circular economy through knowledge and capacity. In this slide, it is a very familiar style. Most of us must have seen once upon a time in our lifetime. The linear economy, the recycling economy, and the circular economy. The things are quite clear by itself. The circular economy functions on the principle of life creation, sustenance, destruction. But very important thing in this is it has to be integrated on the issue of livelihood and materials. All of us know, प्लास्टिक का एग्जांपल ले लें अगर हम, तो प्लास्टिक में इतनी इनफॉर्मल कलेक्शन है कि लोगों का लाइवलीहुड ही जो है, it depends upon the waste collection and segregation. So whatever we do, we have to see the issue of livelihood also and see the conservation of the materials also. Now, this would need investment in upskilling, investment in the recycling facilities, collection mechanism based on extended producer responsibility. I'll come back on this extended producer responsibility a little later, and cleaner materials and alternate resources. Next, please. All of us know this is the option for sustainability. This is the option which addresses the environment issues. This is the option to decouple economic growth from material dependency. और somebody has predicted कि अगर आपको 2030 में $4.5 trillion की इकोनॉमी करनी है, तो circular economy is the only answer. Well, it will open up the opportunities to new markets. cutting costs, risks, and foster innovation. Next, please. This slide has been borrowed from National Productivity Council, and I'd used it earlier also in one of my presentations in HSBC in 2019, I believe. It explains whatever is required. चाहे वो investment है, चाहे recycling को encourage करना है, how can you improve the collection, promote reuse, reduce process waste, better design products, develop markets for recycling products. Friends, circular economy is more than 3 R's. जो अब तक हम ज्यादा करते थे, reduce, reuse, recycle. We've added some more R's into this. It's 9 R. Reducing by being more resource efficient. Refusing certain products or resources not to be used. Redesign by engineering fraternity. Reusing by consumables at all the levels. Refurbishing using indigenous technology. Repairing by small MSMEs. Remanufacture by medium engineering enterprises. Repurpose multiple user options. And recycling by the entire population of India. We got to develop market for recycled products. I'm happy that Government of India has also taken some initiatives and made the policy interventions in this regard. See, कोई भी scheme, चाहे वो sustainability हो, चाहे वो economic growth हो, government की support के बिना नहीं हो सकता. And the government of India or the state government has to come out with policies which the citizens or the responsible persons have to follow. Recently, the National Automobile Scrappage Policy has come. The Blue Economy Policy has come. Extended producer responsibility for plastic packaging has come. Steel scrap recycling policy has come. The National Resource Efficiency Policy has come. So these are all noteworthy developments for transition from linear to circular economy. What is the actionable agenda for sustainability? Let us reinvent ourselves. Sustainable production and consumption hold the key. This is going to change or perish the health of our business. We have to adopt newer engineering and simple solutions. I repeat, engineering and simple solutions for people and growth of our country. Some of the companies have done something for the circular economy. It is catching up. Coca-Cola is committed to a world without waste and 100% collection of recycling of post-consumer packaging by 2030. Dabur India is targeting to become plastic waste positive by collecting, processing, recycling more plastic waste than producing as a product packaging. ITC is integrating circular economy principles across all the operations, thus saving resources and costs. Nestle has collected 23,000 metric tons of post-consumer plastic packaging waste, thus becoming plastic neutral for the second year. Last year उन्होंने काम किया था और जितना भी प्लास्टिक वेस्ट पैकेजिंग का था उसको रीयूज किया, कलेक्ट किया, रीयूज किया और they became plastic neutral. And this is the second year when they have become plastic neutral. To conclude, circular economy helps to build a sustainable future and a positive impact on people and businesses by optimal utilization of all resources and full recovery of unavoidable. This is key pillar in India's strategy for transition to a net zero economy in faster growth. Engineers can bring and design efficient and economic engineering process systems and technology. Friends, it's time to contemplate and realign. It's time to find more ways to optimize resources. It's time to reduce waste and create self-reliant planet. It's time to reuse. Friends, it's time to rethink and recreate. It's time to mold a new world by reusing and recreating. The planet that is bursting at its seam. It's time to reset. It's time to introspect and reconcile. It's time to ruminate and recast a more responsible world. It's time to bring change the way we approach life. It's time to reimagine. I'm thankful to my friend Duaji, who gave me this slide. Okay, this is what is required for business sustainability. Innovative, self-reliant mindset, business vision and values, resource optimization, affordable world culture, digital adaptability, competition, stakeholders engagement, profit versus people versus planet, and new problems, new engineering solutions. Next. Let me finally define sustainability. Sustainability is a mission and a movement. It needs cooperation of employees and employers. It's a celebration of simple and successful engineering steps. Sustainability results in PQ, perfect quality for economic gains. May I say that sustainability needs positive attitude to create net zero. Thank you all for your patient hearing. Let me acknowledge the support of organizing team, IEI, FLCC, Times of India, National Public Council, the Rotarian Son Duaji, BYC, for their valuable support for this presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
बहुत अच्छे, बहुत अच्छे. Very nice.
Thank you. Very done.
Very
Very good
impressive.
attack.
Very impressive.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our next speaker, Engineer Samir Kumarji, who is an innovator and TEDx speaker. Engineer Samir Kumarji.
Thank you, sir, and special thank you to IEI Faridabad team. You all are close to my heart. Engineer Sandeep Handa sir, Gupta sir, Pradeep ji, Dimri, Dr. Dimri, JP Malhotra sir. JP Malhotra sir is again, he motivates each one of us. And today on sustainability, his presentation is really excellent. So really learned too many things from that presentation. So thank you, sir. Thanks for that. Now I'm joining from mobile phone, but I have shared my presentation to the team. So if anyone can start presentation, I would like to take the helm. So this Zoom is not available on my laptop. So there are some restrictions. So I request if anyone, Pankaj ji or anyone can present that, share that screen. So meanwhile, that presentation comes up, let me have a very, let's say my recent development. So with all your best wishes and blessings, I'm a doctor now. So I have completed my PhD, which is in Internet of Things. And so now both engineer and Dr. Samir Kumar, with all your good wishes, I'm here. Okay, can anyone share that presentation? Pankaj ji?
Sir, not available yet with me. Trying to.
I have sent the email and I will quickly again email you if you want. Just 1 minute. The same presentation, I can send it to you. It was So Engineer Pankaj, if you just share your email ID, I will share immediately. Pankaj ji,
Writing in chat.
okay, you have given in the chat. Let me see the chat. Just 1 minute, sir. So, Mr. Malhotra has given some. No, I am not able to find in the chat. Okay, it's not there in the chat. Pankaj, if you can just quickly tell me, I will type and then send it to you. Okay, trehan.pankaj@gmail.com. Just 1 minute, Pankaj, it will reach to you within minutes. Trehan. So it's gone. It may be with you. So I will take the second part of the theme, which is build back wiser, engineering the future. So the theme is really very, again, very apt, very suitable in today's environment. We all know that we were very wise, and most of the technology, most of the philosophy has come from India, Indian literature, and the Rishi Muni who were practicing in the past. And how can we engineer the future? That's again a very odd subject, very nice subject, and it's very close to my heart. If Pankaj, are you able to?
Give me a minute, I will share.
Yeah, not an issue. And like in the chat box, I will ask some questions also. You need to answer in the chat box. I will go to the chat and I will again to the fastest and nearest answer, I'll be sending some by courier to you guys. Whoever is giving right answers. Yeah. Pankaj, once ready, please let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so once this Pankaj presents it, the talk will be more about if there are how an engineer, as an engineer we can do, how the future looks like, and is the future really very like, do we have a good future or it's really a disturbed future? I will talk about, and what we can do really in this scenario. So Pankaj is sharing the screen, I think. Yeah, thanks, Pankaj. Yeah, thank you, Pankaj. So you are able to see like the very first question, who is there in the picture? First picture left. It's a picture from 1940. You can type in the chat box. And what is he doing? Okay, so I am getting good answers here. He is our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, and he is using microscope. And remember, when microscope was invented, it was one of the best invention we had, and it has helped us to identify different micro bacteria, different viruses, mosquitoes, and which has helped us to like give us the solution. Now, if you see to the right, this again is a microscope. This is called as Foldscope. This is just 40-50 rupees, and the innovators has developed it. And it also uses the same way the microscope can work. There are limitations in the microscope, but with this Foldscope, which is printed microscope, so it has lens, and based on different viruses, based on different bacteria, this has been developed, so that you come to know with this immediately within fraction of second whether how these virus has affected your body. So are you having malaria infection or not? Do you have dengue infection or not? So those development has come in. So my point is, like, look at our past, how was it, and look at our future, how is it? So we are coming up, the world is very innovative, and we are coming up really with very good solutions in coming future. And everything is going to be like, there are so many people who are coming to us in our life, and they are going to change us. So Malhotra sir and the complete team, ये केवल 40-50 रुपए में अभी प्रिंट हो रहा है, और ये वाइडली अवेलेबल है, और WHO इसको अप्रूव करने जा रहा है. So all these diagnostics और टेस्टिंग ये बहुत आसान होने जा रही है हमारी लाइफ में. So हमारा फ्यूचर जो है, and these all have been developed with engineer, and then biomedical engineers, biotechnology engineers, and engineers in the field. Next please. Next, please. Yeah. This is about me, so I'll not talk much. With all your blessings, I'm doctorate now. And then, yeah, here, stay here. Can you name this film? This is a very nice film, and this relates to our topic also today. Anyone in the group? So far.
Kal, Aaj aur Kal.
Oh, great, sir. Kal, Aaj aur Kal. So another very good answer. Go to the next. So if you see the technology, yeah, next please, Pankaj. Thank you for helping me out. Next please. Yeah, so this is Kal Aaj aur Kal, a poster of Kal Aaj aur Kal. Why am I talking about this? Because हमें पास से ही सीखना है, और हमारा पास्ट कितना अच्छा था, और जिससे हम लर्न करके आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. पास में की गई अचीवमेंट से और पास में की गए हमारी मिस्टेक से हमें सीखना है और आगे बढ़ना है. So मैं इसके बारे में नहीं बात करूंगा, बिकॉज एवरीवन नोज कि हमारा इंडस्ट्री 1.0, जब इंडस्ट्री स्टीम का इन्वेंशन हुआ तो पूरे यूरोप ने वर्ल्ड को रूल किया बिकॉज ऑफ द टेक्नोलॉजी. देन केम ऑटोमोबाइल, बेसिकली असेंबली लाइंस, फिर यूएस ने पूरे उसको रूल किया. देन केम आईटी, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, अगेन Japan and other countries started ruling the world. Now with industry 4.0, like again we also have a very bright chances to rule the world. अभी हमारी गवर्नमेंट भी, मल्होत्रा सर ने भी बताया, हम सेमीकंडक्टर के ऊपर फोकस करने जा रहे हैं. हमारी ऑटो इंडस्ट्री में इसमें बहुत बड़ा क्राइसिस है पार्ट्स अवेलेबिलिटी का. सो अगर हम अपने फ्यूचर को ठीक से इंजीनियर करें, सो वी कैन बी अ वेरी ग्रेट कंट्री. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. या अब ये बड़ी स्लाइड इंपॉर्टेंट की है. एक बहुत बड़े थॉट टेक्नोलॉजी थिंकर है, इस नेम इज पीटर डियामंडिस. वो बोलते हैं कि अभी तक पिछले 100 साल में जो हुआ वो एक्सपोनेंशियल था. अब जो होगा वो तो महा एक्सपोनेंशियल होगा. महा एक्सपोनेंशियल सेइंग दैट, आप सोचिए कि जब हमारे पास हमारी लाइफ में बाय 2025 अनदर 3 साल में जब हमारी पॉपुलेशन 8 बिलियन होगी और सारे लोग 100% लोगों के पास इंटरनेट होगा, तो जो 4.2 बिलियन नए माइंड जुड़ेंगे, वो सोचिए क्या कर सकते हैं. अभी इस जमाने में जो आइडियाज हैं वो इतनी तेजी से ट्रेवल कर रहे हैं कि आज मैंने कुछ सोचा, वो इमीडिएटली वर्ल्ड में किसी ने बना दिया. देयर इज प्रॉब्लम, देयर इज अ सॉल्यूशन. वैक्सीन का डेवलपमेंट इंडिया इस वजह से बहुत जल्दी कर पाया क्योंकि हम टेक्निकली और हमारे पास इतने सारे रिसोर्सेस थे, हमने इतना सारा चैनलाइज कर लिया. अब कोरोना के टाइम पे हमारी सबसे बात हो रही थी, हमने मल्होत्रा साहब का भी बहुत सारा सपोर्ट किया. पूरी टेक्नोलॉजी लग गई, जिन्होंने दवाइयां, ऑक्सीजन कॉन्सेंट्रेटर, हॉस्पिटल बेड सारे अरेंज कराए. तो सोचिए जब हमारी पॉपुलेशन 8 बिलियन होगी और 100% इंटरनेट यूजर्स होंगे तो कितनी सारी अपॉर्चुनिटी होगी और हमारा फ्यूचर कैसा. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. और ये जो 4 बिलियन नए लोग आ रहे हैं, वो क्रिएट करेंगे, वो डिस्कवर करेंगे, वो कंज्यूम करेंगे, वो डिजायर करेंगे, वो किसी चीज को इन्वेंट करेंगे. ये बहुत बड़ा फिगर है. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. 1.2 मिलियन, 12 लाख रोबोट हैं बाई 2023. अमेजन ने ऑर्डर दिया है 12 लाख रोबोट अकेले एक कंपनी. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. जेसीबी ने जब बैकहो लोडर बनाया तो उसमें एक नया डिवाइस लगाया जिसका नाम था जेसीबी लाइव लिंक. उसके जरिए जेसीबी बैकहो लोडर की लाइव पता चलती थी, कितना इंजन चला है, ऑयल कब चेंज हुआ, लोकेशन क्या है. उसकी जब इनिशियल लॉन्च किया तो 1 लाख रुपए ज्यादा चार्ज किया. अभी जो कस्टमर है वो बोलता है कि मुझे लाइव लिंक के साथ ही मशीन चाहिए, बिकॉज इतने एडवांटेज है उसको कस्टमर को. नागपुर में एक जेसीबी यूजर है जिसकी मशीनें 4 घंटे यूज हो रही हैं, और नासिक वाले की 18 घंटे हो रही है। तो जेसीबी की जो सेंट्रल टीम है वो पता लगाती है कि कहाँ पे ज्यादा वर्कलोड है, कहाँ पे ज्यादा काम है, और वो एनालिसिस के बूते दूसरे लोगों को जिनके पास कम काम है उनको फोन करती है कि सर आप नागपुर में जाओ, आप नासिक में जाओ, आप छत्तीसगढ़ में जाओ, आप रायपुर में जाओ, आप शिमला में जाओ, यहाँ काम है। मशीनें चोरी हो जाती हैं तो पता चलता है। सर्विसिंग फेलियर्स बहुत कम हो गए हैं, पार्ट्स अवेलेबिलिटी बहुत इंप्रूव हो रही है। तो टेक्नोलॉजी बहुत ज्यादा इंप्रूव कर रही है हम लोग। क्यूआर कोड, मुझे अच्छे तरीके से याद है, आप सब लोग थे, मल्होत्रा सर थे, और क्यूआर कोड पे हमारा बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम 7 साल पहले हुआ था, और 7 साल पहले हमने मानव रचना में ये सेशन किया था और उसको ब्लेस किया था मल्होत्रा सर और पूरी टीम ने। उस समय का देखिए अब पूरी रियलिटी हो रही, पेटीएम, गूगल पे, अभी बच्चा बच्चा सबको पता है कि क्यूआर कोड क्या होता है और कैसे काम करता है। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। हीरो मोटोकॉर्प में बहुत एक्सटेंसिवली क्यूआर कोड यूज हो रहा है। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। या सीमेंस बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है और अभी बहुत सारे मेडिकल डिवाइसेस बना रही है जिससे पेशेंट्स की बारे पता चल रही है, और इस एरिया में इंडिया बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है। इंडिया की जो इंजीनियरिंग फ्रेटर्निटी है बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही है मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी। अभी कोरोना में तो मतलब बहुत ही अच्छे अच्छे काम हुए हैं। जैसा सबने बताया कि हम पहले, प्रधानमंत्री कितनी बार बोल चुके हैं कि पहले हम पीपीई से इंपोर्ट करते थे, अभी हम पीपीई से एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं पूरे वर्ल्ड को। हम अभी वैक्सीन इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं पूरे वर्ल्ड को। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। अभी ये देखिए फिलिप्स लाइटिंग, अब जो इंटरनेट बेस्ड लाइट है, आईओटी बेस्ड डिवाइस है, 250-300 रुपए में मिल जाता है। वो आप मोबाइल फोन से चलाइए, आप कलकत्ता में बैठ के बनारस की लाइट जलाइए, कलकत्ता में बैठ के अपने मोबाइल फोन पे आप अपने बनारस में जो आपका गोडाउन है उसका कर लीजिए, मोबाइल फोन पे उसकी इमेज आ जाएगी, पिक्चर आ जाएगी एट ए वेरी लो कॉस्ट। रॉल्फ लॉरेन जो कंपनी है उसने एक ऐसा टी शर्ट बनाया जिसमें सारी एनालिटिक्स रहती है, पेपर पे सब प्लेयर को पता चलता है। बैरोलेट नाम की एक जो रैकेट है उससे पता चलता है कि किस मतलब प्लेयर को कैसे खेलना है, पूरी एनालिटिक्स, पूरा सपोर्ट होता है। तो जो टेक्नोलॉजी है केवल क्रिकेट में नहीं, स्पोर्ट्स में नहीं, हमारी सारी लाइफ में अच्छे तरीके से आगे बढ़ रही है, और ये सारी इंजीनियर्स करता है। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। और इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है कि ये जो टेक्नोलॉजी है, ये हम जो इंजीनियर्स हैं, हमारा इम्पैक्ट इकोनॉमी पे है, बिजनेस पे है, नेशनल लेवल पे है, ग्लोबल लेवल पे है, सोसाइटी पे है, और इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे। और इतने ज्यादा अच्छे इनोवेशंस और इन्वेंशंस ड्यूरिंग कोरोना हुए कि मतलब लाइफ सारे इंजीनियर्स ने चेंज कर दी पूरे वर्ल्ड की। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। ये नेक्स्ट प्लीज। नेक्स्ट। या हियर। सो ये इकोनॉमी, बिजनेस और इन पे इम्पैक्ट वेल नोन है, हम सब जानते हैं अपने। ये बहुत जरूरी चीज है जिन पे हमें ध्यान देना है। टॉप 10 स्किल्स ऑफ 2025। अभी बच्चा इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज से कंप्यूटर साइंस पढ़ के निकलता है, उसकी 8 लाख रुपए से लेके 25 लाख रुपए तक की नौकरी पक्की। डिमांड में है इंजीनियर्स, कंप्यूटर साइंस स्पेशली। लोग जिन्हें कोडिंग पता है, जिनको आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पता है, जिसे मशीन लर्निंग पता है, दे आर इन डिमांड। सो ये जो चीजें हमें स्किल्स 2025 की हैं वो हमें सीखनी पड़ेंगी एज एन इंजीनियर। अब हमने, कोरोना ने हमें ये सिखा दिया कि हमें जूम कैसे चलाना है, हमें गूगल पे कैसे करना है, हमें पेटीएम कैसे यूज करना है। चाय कॉफी सबकी मशीनें जो है वो कॉन्टेक्टलेस आ रही है, आप जस्ट हाथ दिखाइए आपको चाय मिल जाए। सो चेंज बहुत जल्दी हो रहा है और बहुत जल्दी हमें सीखना पड़ेगा, और जो भी जल्दी सीखेगा वो आगे रहेगा। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। अब हमें करना क्या है, अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्या है, चैलेंजेस क्या है, और स्मार्ट वे क्या है, उसकी बात करें। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। नेक्स्ट। या हमने बात की एक्सपोनेंशियल की। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। और अभी जो कुछ सीईओज हैं, वो इलॉन मस्क बोलिए या फिर सुंदर पिचई बोलते हैं, भाई हमें पीपल हैव नो आइडिया हाउ फास्ट थिंग्स आर चेंजिंग। बहुत तेजी से चेंजेस हो रहे हैं टेक्नोलॉजी में। वाटर बॉल्स आने वाले हैं। अभी जैसे हम बिस्लेरी की बोतल से पानी पीते हैं, छोटे छोटे वाटर बॉल्स रहेंगे, आप लेके पी जाइए उसे, हाइजीनिक, कम पैसे में, 10 पैसे में 1 लीटर तक पानी मिलने वाला है। रिसर्च कर रहे हैं लोग, बनाया भी है। जो सी वाटर, सैलिनेशन वाटर की, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर बनाने की कॉस्ट अभी आ रही है, दैट इज कमिंग अराउंड 40 पैसा पर लीटर। साइंटिस्ट आर वर्किंग टू मेक इट मोर चीपर सो दैट दुनिया को इंजीनियर्स हम लोग प्रोवाइड कर सकें। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट स्लाइड है। अगर हम 10 लीनियर स्टेप चलेंगे 1 + 1 उसके बाद दूसरा फिर तीसरा, तो हम जो है 30 मीटर चलेंगे 30 स्टेप। लेकिन अगर हम एक्सपोनेंशियल चलते हैं, नेक्स्ट प्लीज, अगर हम एक्सपोनेंशियल चलते हैं, एक्सपोनेंशियल क्या होता है कि 1 के बाद 2 आया, 2 के बाद उसका डबल हो गया 4, फिर उसका डबल हो गया 8, फिर 16, फिर 32, फिर 64, फिर 128, 254। आप देखते हैं ना कि कितने जीबी का है, बोलते हैं 128 जीबी का है, फिर 256 जीबी का। हम जिस तरीके से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, अगर हम 30 एक्सपोनेंशियल स्टेप लेंगे, जो कि हो रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ सो मेनी माइंड्स, वी विल बी कवरिंग 26 टाइम्स ऑफ द अर्थ, 30 एक्सपोनेंशियल स्टेप। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। अब ये देखिए, बहुत साल पहले की बात है, तो बहुत पुरानी स्लाइड हो गई है कि एक मोबाइल फोन ने सबको रिप्लेस कर दिया, चाहे वो कैलेंडर हो, टेप रिकॉर्डर हो, कैसेट प्लेयर हो, कैलकुलेटर हो, सबको रिप्लेस कर दिया। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। टॉर्च, सबको ये रिप्लेस कर दिया। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। या ये देखिए, ये है मिस्टर मूर, साइंटिस्ट थे, इन्होंने बोला था कि जो ट्रांजिस्टर्स हैं वो डबल हो जाएगा हर साल। अब देखिए इतनी छोटी छोटी डिवाइसेस आ रही हैं, इतनी सस्ती आ रही हैं, और उनका जो कंप्यूटेशनल पावर है वो बिलियन ट्रिलियन टाइम्स पावरफुल है। कम पैसे में पावरफुल डिवाइसेस आ रही हैं। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। नेक्स्ट नेक्स्ट। या हियर। सो आप ये, अगर आप ये ध्यान से देखें तो जो टेक्नोलॉजी जिस स्पेस से आगे बढ़ रही है, वो हमें इनोवेशन की इतनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज देने वाली है कि बहुत सारी चीजें तो कंप्यूटर्स कर देंगे, प्रोग्रामर्स कर देंगे। हमारे पास इतना टाइम रहेगा कि हम नई चीजें कर पाए। नेक्स्ट। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। या हियर। अब देखिए जूम ने सबको खाली कर दिया। जूम का अकेला का बिजनेस इतनी एयरलाइंस के बिजनेस के बराबर है, उनको भी सरपास कर दिया है। अकेला जूम जो है वो साउथ वेस्ट एयरलाइंस, डेल्टा एयरलाइंस, यूनाइटेड एयरलाइंस, लुफ्थांसा, सबका बिजनेस अकेले जूम ने। लोग प्रेफर करते हैं भाई, आप अपने घर पे बैठ के अभी हम जूम से कॉल कर, नहीं तो मैं बड़खल से जाता, फिर अपनी कार उठाता, फिर होटल में जाता, पार्क करता, वॉक करके जाता, फिर वहां बैठता, फिर जितने सारे लोगों का अरेंजमेंट वी आर एबल टू डू नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ जूम। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये हमें स्मार्ट होना चाहिए। कैसे स्मार्ट होना चाहिए उसकी बात करेंगे। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। नेक्स्ट प्लीज पंकज। सो जब मैं स्मार्ट बोलता हूँ तो स्मार्ट का मतलब होता है हमें अपनी जो डे टू डे लाइफ है, हमारी इंजीनियरिंग की लाइफ है, शॉप फ्लोर है, हमारी फैक्ट्री है, हमारी ऑफिस है, उसमें हमें स्मार्ट बनना है। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। आप क्लिक करिए तो हाँ, पहला ऐसा सिंपल सोल्यूशन। हमेशा कॉम्प्लिकेट मत करिए चीजों को, जो काइजन बोलते हैं, सिंपली सिंपल सॉल्यूशंस। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। हमें अपनी केपीआईज पता होनी चाहिए कि हमारी की परफॉर्मेंस इंडिकेटर क्या है, चाहे हमारा ऑफिस है या वर्क प्लेस है, कैसे हम मेजर कर रहे हैं अपने आप को। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। नई स्किल हमें अडॉप्ट करना चाहिए, अडॉप्टेशन ऑफ न्यू स्किल्स, जैसा हमने बात किया। नेक्स्ट। मल्होत्रा सर ने बात किया, हमें उसमें एक और वर्ड जोड़ना है, रिफ्यूज। पहले हमें ऐसी चीजें जाने लेने जाए तो हम प्लास्टिक को रिफ्यूज क्यों नहीं कर सकते, हमें नहीं चाहिए, हम घर से थैला लेके जा रहे हैं। रिफ्यूज, रिड्यूस, रीयूज एंड रिसाइकल। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। प्लीज टीम अप एंड नेटवर्क। नेटवर्किंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट। कितने लाखों लोगों की, हजारों लोगों की हमारी आईआई फरीदाबाद की टीम ने मदद की। आप लोगों के हेल्प से कितने लोगों को हॉस्पिटल्स के बेड दिलाए, कितने लोगों को ऑक्सीजन दिलवाए, कितने लोगों को दवाइयां दिलवाई, कितने लोगों को खाना मिल रहा है। नेटवर्क बहुत जरूरी है। एनीथिंग कैन बी सॉल्व विद द नेट। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। सो सिंपल सॉल्यूशंस, know your KPIs, adopt new skills. Next. Yeah, and team up and network. Next. Yeah, so simple solutions. अब मुझे एक पावर पॉइंट में एक टाइमर बनाना था। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। क्लिक करिए। हाँ बस रुकिए, देखिए ये 5 4 3 2 1 अपने आप हर सेकेंड पे काउंट कर। तो मैंने एक टाइमर बना लिया, आप भी टाइमर बना सकते हैं, 30 सेकेंड का, 30 मिनट का, आधे घंटे का। थिंक अबाउट सिंपल सॉल्यूशंस। केपीआईज आपको पता होने चाहिए। नेक्स्ट। या अगर आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में है तो आरएफटी क्या है, ओई क्या है, स्टॉक टर्न क्या होता है, इन्वेंट्री कितनी रखनी है, डिलीवरी शेड्यूल। आप ऑफिस में है तो भी आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आपके बिजनेस की, आपकी इंजीनियरिंग लाइन की, आपके कॉलेज की, आपके डिपार्टमेंट की, आपकी स्टडी लाइफ की क्या KPIs है, कैसे मेजर करेंगे अपना? नेक्स्ट प्लीज। Yes, so these are different very vital KPIs worldwide research करके मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लिए स्पेशली 7 KPIs बनाई है, जिसमें हम फ्लोर स्पेस की बात करते हैं कि हम कितने कम फ्लोर से कितना ज्यादा वॉल्यूम ले सकते हैं, वैल्यू एडेड पर पर्सन, एक आदमी कितना एड कर रहा है, एक घंटे में कितने पार्ट्स बन रहे हैं। डिलीवरी शेड्यूल अधेरेंस, हमने कस्टमर को बोला है कि हम 10 पार्ट सुबह 10 बजे सप्लाई कर रहे हैं, तो क्या हम 10 अच्छे पार्ट 10 बजे सप्लाई कर पा रहे हैं? ओवरऑल इक्विपमेंट एफिशिएंसी कैसी है, हमारी टीम कैसी है, उसका मेंटेनेंस कैसे कर रही है, कंजम्पशन कैसा है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट। नेक्स्ट, स्किल्स की बात की हमने, तो स्किल्स को बहुत ध्यान से देखिए और कोई एज लिमिट नहीं हो। इवन 60-65 की एज में लोग प्रोग्रामिंग सीख रहे हैं। पाइथन बहुत इजी है, इट्स लाइक राइटिंग एन इंग्लिश। आप खुद गेम बना सकते हैं, आप पेमेंट के ऐप बना सकते हैं। पंकज ने तो इतना सपोर्ट किया, हमारे इंजीनियर पंकज ने, कि लोग बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं थोड़े थोड़े सपोर्ट। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। 3D प्रिंटिंग के बारे में जानना हमें बहुत जरूरी है, बहुत सारी आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, रोबोटिक्स। अभी अभी एक वीडियो बहुत व्हाट्सएप लाइट डाल दी, पेंटिंग का कॉस्ट पूरा कम हो गया। वर्चुअल रियलिटी, ऑगमेंटेड रियलिटी, दे आर चेंजिंग द वर्ल्ड। नेक्स्ट नेक्स्ट। सो ये कुछ एरियाज हैं जिसकी हमने बात की। ये सबको पता ही है, हमें 6 सिग्मा, प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट, सेफ्टी सर्टिफिकेशन, क्वालिटी, लीन, सप्लाई चेन, IPR, HR, सिक्योरिटी, इंजीनियरिंग, टेस्टिंग, लाइसेंसिंग, इसके बारे में। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। ये कुछ स्किल्स हैं जिसके बारे में हमें जरूर सोचना चाहिए और जानना चाहिए। ये स्टूडेंट्स के लिए कुछ स्किल्स हैं। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। या एज एन इंजीनियर अगर हमें जॉब चाहिए तो हमें ये चीजें जरूर आनी चाहिए। ऑटोमेशन रिलेटेड है, ये PLC रिलेटेड है, इंटरनेट ऑफ थिंग्स रिलेटेड है, लो कॉस्ट ऑटोमेशन, प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज। एटलीस्ट कोई भी एज हो, कोई भी जेंडर हो, कोई भी कंडीशन हो, हमें C++, पाइथन, जावा, कोई एक लैंग्वेज जरूर आनी चाहिए। और बहुत ईजी है, बहुत आसान है। जब हम फाइल मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर होके कर सकते हैं, सिविल का काम कर सकते हैं, तो लैंग्वेज तो बहुत ईजी है, कोडिंग। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। Yeah, communication skill, interview, analysis with spreadsheet, Excel, internet, what to learn in specific 3 days. हमें कम से कम अगर हमने 60 डेज अपने आप को दिया, और हम स्टूडेंट हैं, हम जॉब सीकर हैं, और इवन कोई ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाना चाहते हैं, तो ये प्रोग्राम्स बहुत यूजफुल है। नेक्स्ट। हाँ, ये बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है और आप लोग रिलेट करेंगे। एक बहुत भिक्षु थे, उनके गुरु के पास गए वो, और बोले कि सर हमको ना एक ब्लैंकेट चाहिए। बोला क्यों, क्या हुआ पुराने ब्लैंकेट का? तो बोले वो पुराना ब्लैंकेट ना घिस गया था। तो बोला फिर? तो बोला वो ब्लैंकेट का ना मैंने चादर बना लिया। बोला फिर चादर का क्या हुआ? बोला चादर भी घिस गया था। बोला क्या किया? बोला उसका फिर मैंने ना डोरमेट बना लिया। बोला फिर डोरमेट का क्या हुआ? बोला डोरमेट भी घिस गया, उसके धागे धागे निकल गया। फिर बोला उसको मैंने जो दिया बाती जलती है उसका बाती बना लिया। तब उसके गुरु ने उसको दिया। मतलब आपने जो लिया, अभी कार जो है, कार जब हम स्क्रैप करते हैं तो उसकी 70% पार्ट ठीक रहता है, बट स्क्रैप करना पड़ता है हमें। तो आप कभी जब सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी की बात की, सस्टेनेबल की बात की, तो पूरा हमें इवन पूरी उसकी लाइफ ना देखिए, पार्ट की लाइफ भी देखना है कि कैसे, और हमें सस्टेनेबिलिटी पे ज्यादा काम करना है। नेक्स्ट। सो रीयूज, रिड्यूस, रिफ्यूज, रिड्यूस, रीयूज, रिसाइकल, ये हमने शेयर किया। ये इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है। बादशाह खुश हुए तो उनसे किसी ने बोला कि हमें हर दिन जो है वो ताश शतरंज के जो खाने हैं उस पे इनाम में डबल गेहूं के दाने दिए जाए। तो राजा ने खुश होकर बोला ठीक है, लेकिन ये इम्पॉसिबल हो गया। बस एक्सपोनेंशियल की पावरफुल बहुत बड़ी होती है, टीम अप की पावर बहुत बड़ी फुल होता है। और हमने बहुत सारी चीजें अपनी पर्सनल लाइफ में, अपनी ऑफिशियल लाइफ में, अगर हमारे पास अच्छी टीम है और हमारे पास एक अच्छा नेटवर्क है और अच्छा कम्युनिकेशन है, so that's the smart way of engineering the future, which is my thinking. Next please. So thank you, and if any questions I'll be able to take now or later on as you decide, but thanks for the opportunity. to all the senior colleagues there at IAI Faridabad Center. I'm really from the bottom of my heart, I'm very thankful and thankful for this. Thank you for this opportunity. So thank you. To you, Pradeep ji.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Samir ji. Now I request Dr. Pradeep Kumar, who is Professor and Chairman, Electronics and Communication, J.C. Bose University, Faridabad. Professor Dr. Pradeep Kumar.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Can you allow me the sharing of screen?
Yeah, you can share.
So at the outset, I would thank organizers and the speaker who have spoken earlier, and distinguished our participants. The advantage of, there is an advantage also and there is a disadvantage of speaking last is advantage is that people are already oriented towards the subject, and disadvantage is that because all the information they get that is already there, so they may lose the interest, but still thank you very much. So we are talking of actually sustainable development and all these things. So are these terms new? They may be new to I'm audible, sir?
Yes, audible.
So these terms may be new to the Western world, but here I have written one sloka, and this sloka is from Isopanishad. And the term Isopanishad comes because the first word of this sloka is Isa. So that's why we call that Upanishad as Isopanishad. And it is written here that Isa Vasyamidam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjidha Ma Gradha Kasvasvidhanam. It is very difficult to translate actually Sanskrit because you do not find the appropriate words in English for that. But still, the rough translation is that this universe is made of living and non-living things, is permeated by God. Humans may use the resources as needed, but may not hold as if this all belongs to me. Can anyone tell if there is a better definition of sustainable development or responsible consumption than this? So with this keeping in mind, I would start. And as already it has been spoken that how would we define the sustainable development? So sustainable development, a beautiful definition came in 1987, a World Commission on Environment and Development, and that says that meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. I find this definition exactly as was the sloka of Isopanishad, Isa Vasyamidam Sarvam Yat Kinchit Jagatyam Jagat. That means we should consume responsibly so that the future generation has enough, they do not curse us. So with this, what is sustainability? So sustainability, there are three elements we all know, and environment is one element, society is one element, and economy is another element. When earlier we used to talk in the villages, in the cities, or in chowpals, people would start discussing about the environment, how this year is going to be, how the crops would be this year, and in each festival is connected to our environment and all these things, India. But unfortunately, lately, all the discussion have been, focusing on economy. And even in villages, we start talking, what is the package of your son, your daughter? How much is the cost of that thing, and all these things. And this talk was earlier, society. So these two subjects have, taken back seat. And this economy has taken the front seat, and that has, created the problem of sustainability. So unless we balance all these three terms, all these three concepts, there's not going to be sustainable development. So what is the way out? So way out, as I have told you, that environment is one of the major factor. And if we dissect it further, then these things come up. Biodiversity, materials, energy, and biophysical interaction. So here we can see that the first, biodiversity, the destruction of biodiversity we have seen recently. This corona is nothing but the interference in the biodiversity. So that means the sphere of virus and bacteria, if human being encroaches that he invites the problem. And from there are so many problems which we get. We use these materials and energy, and this biophysical interaction is also, related to biodiversity. So actually what we talk is that if we take the case of Faridabad, if we go towards that side, Bhatkal Lake area and all these things, all those areas, Surajkund area. So the people there complain that there are many snakes and all, these wild insects and all these, they are there. So simple answer is that it is not that they have come to your inhabitation. It is the fact that human beings have gone there. So encroachment is from our side. And then we complain that there is a problem of water, there is a problem of global temperature rise and all these things. So these are the areas which we have to look into. Then comes another factor, which is economy. And in economy, these are the parameters which we talk of. Everybody knows about these things. As I have told you that most of the focus around the world, and more so in the developing economy like us, everybody is talking of capital market and employment, technological growth, investment, and market forces. They are not, I'm not saying they are bad, but it has taken the whole focus of the society and in turn the government also. So the government is also talking of in terms of these factors. And then comes the society. It has taken a backseat, as was the environment. So human diversity, whatever solution we are giving to the people of Haryana may not be suitable to the people of Uttarakhand or Himachal or Northeast state. But our policymaker make a policy which is applicable to a country as a whole. We do not take a consideration of cultural, linguistic, and ethnic differences we have, diversity we have, and then we do not think in these terms of equity, equality. Of course, these are guaranteed in our constitution, but still policymakers, as Gandhiji has envisioned, that every village will be our producer, every village will be our consumer, a complete, it will be a complete, you can say economic model. That was Gram Swaraj, which he has given. Those things are there. So another model is economy, ecology, and equity. That is a same model. Only thing is that what is the healthy community model? So in this, that means the healthy model would say that all these three components, which are society, economy, and environment, they are equally represented. So if they are equally represented, intersection of all these components creates a good health, economic health, human health, environment health, everything is there. So this model has to be persisted with. But of course, it is not, a fashionable thing that we go on degrading our environment. There are certain problems because we have to economically survive. So what should we do first? So whether we should be, taking care of economy or environment. But in long term, we would see that this sustainability, if it has to be there, because we have got finite resources, and if we keep on using them indiscriminately, then the problems are going to come. So finite resources are there. Last century we have seen that there has been fuel, soils, minerals, and species. All the industrial activities have been, they have got their strength from these things, and so industrial activity have taken shape because of these finite resources. But because they are finite, so they will someday they will die out. And what we are doing in the one way, we are using these finite resources, and then we are overusing renewable resources again, like your forest, fish, wildlife, fertility, public funds, and all these things. So that means we are not giving the earth time to recoup and refresh itself. So if we cut the forest, and then if a new plant has to come up, it will take 3-4 years or something like that. If we indiscriminately do the fishing again, it will not replenish. Similarly for wildlife and all these things. So these are the problems. Pollution, we know, because Faridabad has the tag of one of the very unhealthy city in terms of pollution and all these things, which is not good. And then there is these things which some of which we have inherited because of our colonial past. Some we have increased because of our policy, too much centralization of the policy and all these things. And then we have to deal with these things, endangered species and species also. So some some wild areas, some forest areas which are very ecologically very like Gangotri and all these things, glacier and all these things. So there we find these kind of problems. So if we those areas or those species are endangered, that will be a problem to all of us. So what should be the solution? Some of the solutions earlier speaker have touched upon. I'm not going to elaborate on these things, like refuse, recycle, reuse, and all these things, safe, reliable energy, and all this. Life-based interest should be there, like your health, creativity, communication, and all these things should be there. So what is the what has been the story? So where were we and where we are going? So traditional thinking is like this. As I have told you that there are three components: economy, environment, and society. So traditional thinking has been that economy, takes precedence, and it is a fragmented approach. It should be replaced by a new approach, which is like this, where society, environment, and economy all, are given equal weightage. Then we get a good, healthy system in respect of society. We will have an equitable distribution. We will have a equitable economy, and we will have a sustainable environment also. So this is there. I will rush through all these things. I don't find these things should be told here. So sustainability. So a lot of people are talking about this thing, that we should have a sustainable growth, and for quite long we are talking of these terms. But how to move from rhetoric to reality? So these are the factors. That means these are some principles are there, which should be, adopted in policy, and those policies are to be implemented and those policies are to be, brought to practice. And who is supposed to do this? How engineers can do this? So now everything is coming to this one. So earlier we would say that if a person is a mechanical engineer, he's a mechanical engineer. Then came the multidisciplinary. A person would be having experience of many disciplines. Now the things are interdisciplinary, and this century, at least this decade, next decade is going to be all about interdisciplinary. So health is integrated to electronics, it is integrated to computers, it is integrated to environment. Similarly, your electronics, mechatronics, civil engineering, you call any branch, physics, chemistry, everything is integrated. Even economics is integrated. So that means this is a way out. Earlier, what would, if you talk of Apple product, so why do they, why they are called classy? Because they have got aesthetics, they have got environmental things like this, and they also talk about other things like corporate social responsibility and all these things. So a person of aesthetics would be involved in the design of Apple product, or similarly, so many things are coming here that not only things should look good, but they should be aesthetically, they should be culturally acceptable and all these things. So earlier, this thing, principle of just producing anything and sending it to market and doing business is not going to work. So there are many disciplines, as we have known. Sociology is there, philosophy is there, biology, political science, chemistry, economics, geography, mathematics. We know that unless sociology is involved, we know that our first war of independence, major factor was that they were using the guns, powder, which was not socially acceptable. So it could be a trigger point of this thing, conflict, and it could lead to political upheavals and all these things. So these all should be integrated. Your political science has to be integrated with philosophy, it has to be integrated with biology, it has to be integrated with mathematics for a sustainable development. Yes. So multidisciplinary, that means the issue, problem, or concern defines the disciplinary expertise. And so if a new person is to be added there, so he will be solving that problem. But in interdisciplinary, a level of integration is a must. So that means, as I have told you already, that when we are talking of, because I'm a professor, engineering students, so we encourage them to take some courses from mechanical engineering, to take some courses from humanities, and to take some courses from computers and all these things. Even UGC and AICT and all these things, they are encouraging the students, and they must take some electives from other branches so that they get the perspective from the physics person, they get the perspective from chemistry and all these things. So interdisciplinary is going to be the buzzword in achieving the sustainable development. Most of you know this figure. This figure is quoted in so many places, in so many seminars. This is the UN, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and this is a very beautiful summary which they have come up with. They have chosen, mainly it is 60, 17th is partnership. So if they think, they say that if you address these issues, then the development can be sustainable. And who better than India can, appreciate these things. So there should not be any poverty. So it can't be that few people are very rich and few people do not have anything to feed. Then we have a sustainability. So zero hunger, of course. If a person is hungry, he cannot, you cannot ask him to sit and then observe all these environmental and all these things, these fashionable things to him. These look, cruelty actually when he is hungry and we talk of then environment in front of him. Good health and well-being. Last 2-3 years have, given us good lesson that well-being, how important is it, well-being, and well-being not individually but well-being also in the larger perspective, society as a whole. So one good thing in this corona has done is that I was not only wishing well for myself, but I was wishing well for my subordinate, my colleague, and all these things, because if they carry the virus, I'm going to be affected. So it was earlier also the case that everybody is interdependent, but we had forgotten this, but corona has re-emphasized that case. Quality education is one thing, and India being a knowledge-based society, it has always been a knowledge-based society. We know it. What is the purpose of education? How much our ancient rishis and munis, they were respected more than the kings. We know the names of our sages, our seers more than our kings and all this. Gender equality is one thing. We know that if this is not there, then the 50% population, if it is not participating in these goals, then the talk of sustainability looks frivolous. Clean water and sanitation is another issue, and all these issues, actually we all know these things. So United Nations has given us this, that across the world, all the countries should strive on these points, and if they address these issues, then the sustainability goals would be achieved in a quick way and in a effective way. What our Indian government is doing, so a very good thing has happened, that there is a Niti Aayog, as the name suggests, that it is for transformation of India. And if we take the case of 2020 Index of Sustainable Development, we can see here, because India itself is a world, many states have got their many ranking. Actually, they are ranking all the states in terms of their sustainability development goals. And we can see here that on these 16 parameters, there are different states, top states. Unfortunately, our Haryana, comes. Is it there? I don't see Haryana there in these top states. So if we talk of tackling the poverty,
This is a typographical error, sir. This is a typographical error, sir.
सर
टाइपिंग एरर है जी इसमें.
अच्छा, किसमें सर? ये
टाइपिंग एरर है, हरियाणा का नाम होना चाहिए था.
नहीं सर, ये जो सस्टेनेबिलिटी डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स है, ये नीति आयोग की ही रिपोर्ट से मैंने लिया है. It is not.
उन्हीं के लिए कह रहा हूँ.
It is not there. So my was that although Haryana is well off economically in terms of sustainable development goal, we don't find the mention. So that means economy and society, we can't say that a rich person is always contributing to the sustainable development, or a rich is contributing to the.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. So that is there. So even we can see that the good lines are there, silver linings, like Odisha is doing a wonderful work in climate and life below water. Okay. And similarly, we can see here that Himachal Pradesh, decent work and economic growth it has achieved. Similarly for Meghalaya, Meghalaya is the one state where inequality, this has been addressed. So we can see here that one thing we find and if we see this map of sustainable development goal, mid of central India is fearing wasp and surrounding this thing. So what we can see is, what we can hope is that this will have an impact and we will move towards center, because moving from periphery to center is, I suppose, from the law of mathematics, it is easier than going from center to outside. So although our power is concentrated in center, our sustainable development goal, in terms of sustainable development goal, the peripheral states are doing better. So this is a good thing I thought I would, so can engineers play a role in sustainable development? That was the major point of discussion here. So of course, yes, a big yes. And how that is there? So what does sustainable development needs? It needs innovation, and innovation can come from engineers, and they can design, they can contribute in designing, they can contribute in development, new product and new services. We have seen during Corona and all these things, as Dr. Samir has touched upon. Engineers have contributed very well. In fact, the contribution of engineers were more than the health people, I would say, in terms of oxygen cylinders, in terms of this IT and all these things, if we consider. And they can contribute in implementation, because engineers have to go on the ground. And then in terms of knowledge and learning, of course, engineers can utilize their skills in data collection and all these things. Data is going to be a major parameter for growth. The country which has got greater data, which is doing great analysis of data, that will have an economy, and that will have a sustainable economy. So system thinking is a shift in perspective. So what is this system thinking? So system thinking is a lens through which we can understand the landscape and how any specific project can generate outcome and consequences in multiple areas. Okay, so actually what happens, this term is also coming in the universities and in our curriculum, that whenever we are starting a project, we have to think of a complete picture and holistic picture, rather than only concentrating on one area. Like if we are considering making a big hydropower, so we must be concerned about the ecological, sociological, and all these things. So holistic, this thing is there. So our engineers need to develop that perspective, I suppose. And here is where our engineers better they acclimatize themselves to the ethical, moral, sociological, political, and all these issues, better it would be. So in terms of sustainable development, in terms of people's well-being, these are the areas which Indian government has, Niti Aayog has concentrated on, that land, people, community, culture, livelihood, infrastructure, and housing. And we know that more and more, government policies in future also, they will be oriented towards these goals, and they are being, oriented right now also. So what makes the technology appropriate, as Engineer Samir has touched upon, and as Mr. Malhotra ji also has spoken. So it has to be simpler, and it has to be a small. Earlier, the phrase was bigger is better, and now this phrase is turning to be small is beautiful. Simple solutions. It has to be a cheap, and thanks to the new technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all these things, the cost of designing is coming low, like 3D and all these things, they are coming low. And it has to be locally controlled. Earlier, what was happening, that Indian policies were being made in London, in Britain. And now Indian policies, what we have done is we have brought that London to Delhi only. Hopefully, it will decentralize, and the policy of Northeast will be made in Northeast. The policies for Rajasthan will be made there. For policies for South will be made there, because they know better. And society must be taken in the confidence. So economic growth must be made. What should it be done? It should be made less material intensive. So that means dematerialization of the economy. Of course, our technology and our engineers will, come to the rescue. And less energy sensitive. Energy is a very big this thing. And how energy and how all these things interdependent. I was just studying one study, and it was saying that it was about the US, and it says that if US people, they reduce their weight by 10 pounds, then the aviation industry would benefit by few billions dollars. So it looks, quite unlikely. But he says that, more the, obese people board the aeroplane, the consumption of fuel is higher. And the consumption of fuel is higher, that means the fossil fuel is, so it has got a impact on environment, it has got an impact on economy, it has got an impact on, income of people, it has multi impact on these things. So a simple thing that if we reduce our weight by 10 pounds, so we may save our economy by few billions dollars. That was the case with this thing, US. I am sure all the bad things Western people do, we also follow it. So we are not far off. So earlier, this was the model. And what was this model? Energy was being converted into heat. And what was the type of energy? It was non-renewable, and it was being converted into heat and renewable also. And material was being converted into waste and toxin. So this is called one-way flow of material and energy. And as Malhotra Sahab has told, that we have to move from that one way, that linear model to circular model, and this is there. This is your circular model. So what is happening here? Energy, instead of heat, it is a low quality heat energy instead of heat. And then that heat, similarly for material, instead of waste and toxin, it is being converted into low volume of non-toxic waste and material. And this is cyclical. So that means if we increase the energy efficiency, this throughput is going to be low. And if we have a low heat energy, then similarly all these things. So it is interdependent, this thing. So this is your sustainable civilization. So earlier it was called obsolete civilization. From obsolete civilization to it is sustainable civilization. So we have to change our thinking pattern in this way. If we talk of technological development, so there are many factors. What are the factors? So technology development takes place because of scientific discoveries. It takes because of changing business, self-image and interest. It also do with the changing consumer demand. It does with government regulation. So if government comes with new regulation, so we have to follow, and in following that, we may have to use some new technologies and all this. Then global citizen movement, like this environment, this has come into focus because of, there are so many movements across the world that we have to think about the global warming and all these things. And then with the passage of time, new institutions come up, and those new institutions also bring, new technologies, and then ultimately changing the dominant values. If we talk of how this, public interest technology, it works, so it works in this way. So we have got technological development. There are development in case of infrastructure. like your smart cities, 3D houses, and all these things. Artificial intelligence, that is a major technological disruption. Cloud computing, smart cities and IoT, application platforms, big data, mobile information, autonomous system. So engineers are directly connected to these things. And where do they find the application? They find in education. अगर हम पिछले दिनों की बात करें तो अगर हमारे पास IT, Zoom और Google और ये सारी चीजें नहीं होती है तो 2 साल तक education. Of course, there are some issues, I would not deny, but it has come a big help for education. This computing, artificial intelligence, and ICT. Safety, yes, we have now got tracking and all these things, webcams and everything. It is there. Commerce, media and entertainment, transport, utility. So these application areas are directly, connected to sustainable development goals, which UNO has set up, which we all now acknowledge that they are wonderful. That document is wonderful, and these are connected with your technological areas, new technologies, and all this. In terms of this implementation, how that can be done. So there are some issues. Financing. So financing can come from public, it can come from
Dr.
private.
Pradeep, please conclude.
Yes. I suppose this is my last slide. Then socio-technological system theory, government, employees, enterprise, communities, and all these things. So that means it is all interrelated. Its implementation can be on the individual level. I can help, reducing emission and all these things. I can help in energy. I can help in all these things, and our society can help in having ethics, human rights, and all these things. Then government come. So technology in government has to improvement, and government also government's participation in technology also has to improvement. So I suppose that's all I wanted to say in this limited time.
Thank you.
If anybody has any query, I would like to.
Any questions? Anybody asking any question? Now I request our Honorary Secretary, Engineer K.R. Gupta ji, for his vote of thanks.
A very good evening to everyone. Respected Chairman Sir, Engineer Sandeep Handadi, our distinguished speakers, my fellow FLCC committee members, and all the audience present. On behalf of the Institution of Engineers, India, Faridabad Local Center, I take the opportunity to propose vote of thanks for the technical webinar on World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. The day offers an opportunity to highlight the engineers and engineering's achievements in our modern world, and to improve public understanding of how engineering and technology are central to modern life and for sustainable development. Engineers are amazing, and they deserve a way more than a single day dedicated to them. This day is about encouraging those who will invent the future to take steps in the field of engineering. My sincere thanks to all the learned and the distinguished speakers, Engineer J.P. Malhotra ji, Dr. Sameer Kumar ji, Dr. Pradeep Dimri ji, for making excellent presentation and making this webinar interesting and very educated. I thank to our honorable IA members and all the participants who blessed with their presence and took valuable time from their very busy schedule. With these warm words, a kind message we move to the end of the today webinar.